September 8, 2023. When the world was closely watching the G20 summit in India's New Delhi, something catastrophic happened over 8,000 kilometers away. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck the North African nation of Morocco. People went into a state of shock. They tried to flee their houses as buildings came crashing down. Several structures were toppled. Within a few minutes, there was destruction everywhere. The epicenter of the earthquake was in the high Atlas Mountains. Marrakesh Safi was one of the hardest hit regions. Close to 3,000 lives have been lost. Over 300,000 people across the region may have been affected. Thousands have been left homeless. The country went into a 3-day mourning period. As the dust settled, survivors recounted their ordeal.
I was on the roof of my house to get some fresh air, when suddenly I felt vibrations. They felt close to me. In the beginning, I heard a piece of metal making noise. I thought it was a cat, but it wasn't. Then I heard people screaming, and I realized that it's an earthquake. And I told my family to leave the house. The house rocked aggressively. Everyone was scared, and I was shocked, and I didn't understand what was happening. I thought it was only my house that was moving because it's fragile and old. I heard people screaming. Everyone went out of their houses. The street is full of people and women screaming. That's what's happened. Even now, people can't go back home because they're still afraid because of the last hit. The first hit, we didn't feel it. People can't go back to their houses because they're still afraid. Because of the second hit, I think it's a 7 magnitude. It's not easy.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a special mention of Morocco in his speech before beginning formal G20 meetings.
औपचारिक कार्रवाई शुरू करने से पहले हम सभी की ओर से कुछ देर पहले मोरक्को में आए भूकंप से प्रभावित लोगों के प्रति मैं अपनी हार्दिक संवेदना प्रकट करना चाहता हूं। हम प्रार्थना करते हैं कि सभी इंजर्ड लोग शीघ्र स्वस्थ हो। इस कठिन समय में पूरा विश्व समुदाय मोरक्को के साथ है और हम उन्हें हर संभव सहायता पहुंचाने के लिए तैयार हैं।
This was the deadliest earthquake that Morocco witnessed in over 60 years. The year 2023 has witnessed several devastating earthquakes. On February 6th, all hell broke loose in Turkey. A powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake had hit the region. Another 7.5 magnitude earthquake had hit Syria. The fate of millions of lives was changed forever in the blink of an eye. More than 50,000 people were killed, over 100,000 injured, over 300,000 apartments destroyed. In Turkey, the earthquake had a massive impact on population, economy, currency, and even politics. Yes, even politics. Response to earthquakes became one of the major election challenges for President Erdogan. He managed to win the election, but he became a target of intense criticism. On March 21st, a strong 6.5 magnitude earthquake had hit Afghanistan. Its Badakhshan province was affected the most. The earthquake was so powerful that its tremors were felt in India's national capital. The series of events begs one question. Is there any correlation between earthquakes and climate change? Do earthquakes become frequent and intense because of the climate crisis? Or are these two phenomena independent of each other? Before we dive into that, we first need to understand what causes earthquakes. It happens when tectonic plates get stuck at their edges due to friction. What are tectonic plates? Think of it as a giant, irregularly shaped slab of solid rock. Tectonic plates divide the Earth's crust. The Earth is broken into about 14 major plates that constantly move. So, when stress builds up due to friction, energy is released, and this causes earthquakes. The intensity of the earthquake depends upon the amount of energy released. We can't predict the date or time of an earthquake. In fact, experts say this task is almost impossible. This is because of the complexity of the Earth's crust. Now that we know why earthquakes happen, let's shift focus to climate change. Climate change has been in motion for decades now. It is a crisis worsened by human activities. One of the factors that plays a major role in driving climate change is burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. This generates greenhouse gas emissions. These emissions act like a blanket. They wrap around our planet, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. Now, let's try to answer the question of the hour. Can climate change cause earthquakes? There's a lot of research that needs to be done into this topic. What we know so far is this. Climate change itself cannot directly cause earthquakes. According to NASA, most earthquakes occur far beneath the Earth's surface. This region falls well beyond the influence of the weather conditions that we experience. In fact, earthquakes happen in all kinds of weather conditions. Atmospheric pressure can cause storms like hurricanes. These hurricanes can trigger what's called slow earthquakes. These earthquakes release energy over a long period of time. Hence, they don't make the ground shake like earthquakes usually do. Having said that, there is evidence that global warming can affect seismic activity under the Earth's crust. Earthquakes can be triggered by a change in the amount of stress on tectonic plates. Surface water in the form of rain or snow could alter the stress level. NASA scientists have acknowledged that melting glaciers are triggering earthquakes in Alaska. Melting glaciers change the distribution of weight across the Earth's crust. This causes what's called glacial isostatic adjustment. It affects the movement of tectonic plates. Similarly, droughts can change stress levels on the Earth's crust too. So there's a correlation between climate change and earthquakes. This directs us towards another question. Can climate change cause catastrophic earthquakes? The likes of quakes witnessed in Turkey and Morocco? Well, we don't know for sure. But what we do know is climate change is increasing the risk of natural disasters. In February, Turkey was affected. Today, it's Morocco. Tomorrow, it might be your country. The problem is bigger and more nuanced than we realize. It doesn't have one solution. There's no quick fix. And as alarming as it may sound, there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. We need to wake up before the ground under our feet starts shaking.